Hi folks, welcome back to the Horde. So you can see it's about 20 after 1 and I think I fixed this clock a little fast, but you can see it's Tuesday the 24th, and so welcome to Tuesday. What am I up to? Well, it was about 12 below zero when I woke up this morning. We don't like 12 below zero, so yeah, fired up the old wood stove, and I figured I'd get some work done in here. Just a quick thing for subscriber stuff. vtecsux, I think that's your name. It's close anyway. You were asking me if you can test out like a Honda 200S without an ohm meter, without a digital volt ohm meter. Well, the problem is you really, I mean, everything is kind of set that you get ohms. You have to test it from an ohm point of view. Like just a test light, I guess you could go from the green to the body and make sure that the test light comes on fully bright. I don't know if I'd put a test light across the blue yellow and with 30 ohms. I'm not sure what exactly you're going to see. You know, you might just burn out like the pulse generator. Right, I mean, as you go up and down here, these are the ohm values you should see for a Honda 200S with, I mean, this is the square box, right? This tells you where the various wires go. You guys could stop this. So anyway, I'm if I had to test one of these without a ohm meter, I guess what I would start doing is what you are doing. You checked all your grounds first. That would be critical. But then it kind of depends on the history of the bike. If the bike was running and mine, and I knew what was going on with it, I mean, you start off easy, right? You start off with the, and assuming it's a 200S, right? So you got no neutral safety switch or anything. You start off with the easy stuff, right? You do the grounds. I'm going to say it, you probably already did this, but change the plug, and then change the plug again, because I've gotten bad plugs, especially if they're not NDKs. Make sure your gap is good. Check your grounds. Your on-off switch, you know, I've had them go bad, or I've had them where they kind of shake into the off position, so I'd be sure that my on-off switch isn't screwing me up. I had one time, and you know, you learn, right? And if I tell you guys this, you can learn from me instead of doing your own stupid stuff. I had one that was out of gas that I thought had a spark problem, and I completely went through the ignition system, and then it didn't start. So I gave it a little starting fluid, and it fired over, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this thing? And I looked, and it was out of gas, right? So everybody does stupid things, and old Harvey can't be excluded from that. But you really, quite honestly, you really do need a voltometer, and you really need to go through everything from the point of view of the CDI. And assuming all those readings are good, then you change the CDI. You change the little black box. If it's a square box like this, you can actually get the ones from China. White plug, small like this. You can see how small it is compared to my thumb. That means you don't have an advance built in. So anyway, good luck to you, but I check your on and off check your grounds, change your plug a couple of times, make sure there's gas in it and all that. See if it'll fire on ether, a little starting fluid. And then it depends what was going on when it stopped running. If you bought the thing as a pig in the poke, as unknown, as a kit, and you're trying to put it together, you really need an ohm meter, because you don't know what you have there, and you don't know why they took it apart. So you really have to start at ground zero, which requires an ohm meter. So anyway, good luck, and if you have any questions, you learn anything, please contact me, because I'll help you out the best I can. But without a meter, you're kind of in trouble. Second thing, two things on this video, right? Shipping weight, 36 pounds. So this guy had this pile, 36 pounds worth of 200S nuts, bolts, and so forth. And it was $39.95 delivered to the house, eBay deal. And I couldn't pass it up. And I'm going to show you, it's like 3 separate piles I got. I mean, it came like with, throttle. It's got the bolts and all that. Cable's not any good. Came with a gear. Came with that CDI that I mentioned, and a cover. The items I just showed you, right, could easily be the 40 bucks right there, right? That could be the 40 bucks. Typically, they try to get around 20 for these. Call it delivered to the house. 20. They try to get almost 20 for these, even though it doesn't have the outside bit. These things they try to get, I mean, if it's a good one, they try to get as much as 50 for these. And then obviously the throttle thing. So anyway, these 3 pieces more than paid for the deal, and I was able to see them in the picture. So what else did I get? Got a bunch of steering components, right? That's out of the tree. I got the handlebar holders, right? I got some foot pegs, some of the things that go over the top, right? And chain guides, 2 of them. So I got assorted heavy metal. Keeps going. Then I got 5 sets of motor mounts for 200S. 1 set of fender supports, and then all the bolts. It looks like about 5 engines worth of bolts, and then a shifter, right? And I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this, but the threads are good in there. So, are we done yet? The answer is no. It keeps going. Just want to set this up in such a way that I don't have to do 52 million pickup. I had to organize this stuff. Obviously it didn't come like this, but then it came with all this other stuff, all the spacers and some couple of fender nuts. These are the bolts that hold the rear end on. You can see I got quite a few of those. Various, I mean, these are just typical flat bolts, and then flat bolts, things that pull the rear end back. These things typically go for about 10 bucks each. There's 1, 2, there's 6 of them in there. Ball bearings, 2 different sizes. Once again, for the steering unit, I'm not sure what if the bigger ones or the small ones go with the steering unit. Brake components, right, the ends of the cables to pull them taut. This is just the sorted washers. I just got tired of sorting. Those are lock washers. These are, I don't know, they call them flange bolts. Oops. Get to hear me groan. I find it best to just, when you drop something, to pick it up immediately, because if you don't, you lose it. These are all those metal ties that you use to hold cables in place. Obviously there's a million of them. Next size up flange bolt. Gas tank. These go between the body and the gas tank. I'm always losing these stupid things. And then these are the ones that go into the seat. And some other ones I don't recognize. Rear end bolts. And then loads of springs, assorted washers, you know. So anyway, all of this, obviously I had to organize this. It took me, I don't know, about an hour and a half to go through it all. There's a trick to it. What you do is you dump it on a tray like this, and you obviously sort the bigger pieces out first. So that crap got sorted out first, and then I had a tendency to move all the bolts to one side and create a pile over there, and then start moving other stuff off to the side, like all those flat clamp things for holding cables in place. I kind of put those there, and you know, once again, bolts off to that side, and then the bigger nuts over here, and then gradually you start trying to start out with the bigger things, or the things that tangle everything off to one side, and then gradually, as you're pushing things around, you push one size bolt there and a different size bolt there, and you know, washer here and a lock washer there, and gradually you end up with enough where you can begin sorting them into the little bins, and then you're all set up. The nice thing about this mess is, or this assortment is, when I'm going to put something together now, I don't have to walk up to another bike and take it apart, right? Everything, I mean, this has already been ripped apart. One thing that I was a little surprised about, this fits a 200S, right? You can see the hex pattern. It goes right on 200X, right? Output sprocket, engine sprocket, whatever. I thought it would also fit the TRX 200. It does not. It does not fit the TRX 200 SX. And I've done a little research on it, and I was kind of surprised it didn't fit, even though my research indicates the TRX 200 SX is a little different. The Type 2 motor, the one without the shaft drive, obviously. So I'm gonna have to spend a little more time. I got to tell you, you know, that what's slowing that project down more than anything else is the slippage of plans. So remember, I was going to use the original rear end and go with a torque converter and a transmission and kind of rig up the whole mess. And I kind of backed away from that because I didn't want the transmission to be like at an angle, right? Because typical tractor transmissions, you feed from the bottom, right? And if I put a side shaft engine with a torque converter on it, I have to flip the transmission up at an angle, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't want the grease running out of it, and I wanted to make sure it lubricates properly so the transmission doesn't blow up. So I kind of moved away from that, and I moved away from the engine with the torque converter, but I still want reverse. So then I moved to the TRX engine, which gives me reverse and 5 speeds and all that. It kind of runs up against the problem of it's going to be a little slow. I have reverse and it's going to be a little slow. The other problem I'm going to run up against, I don't think that rear end is going to take all the torque from the engine. Now I'm leaning toward putting a solid axle in it. Shouldn't be that hard, right? Couple of pillow bearings, solid axle, sprocket on the axle and all that. Now I got to figure out how to get the right sprockets on there, and I do want to gear it down a little bit. I really don't want a golf cart that does 35 miles per hour but can't come out of the hole, right? I want it to be able to come out of the hole. I want it to be a useful item. I want it to be a UTV and a 35-mile-per-hour golf cart. Though, I mean, it'll be fun, perhaps a bit scary, but fun, but not much of a UTV. So anyway, now I'm running across, well, if I do go straight axle, what am I going to do for the sprockets, right? The engine sprocket, no big deal, I'll buy one. But if I get a typical sprocket chain rear end combination, $70 bill, that's geared up a little bit high. I really want it geared down a little bit. Once again, the speed I'm targeting for this thing is like 25. I'd really like it to go 25. Not 35, not 15. I'll take 20. I'll even take 15, but 10, 12 is a little bit slow for fifth gear, and 35 is a little bit fast for fifth gear. If I let my friends loose with that, I'll end up getting sued. Anyway, this is 16 minutes. My buddy is probably left his spot twice, or hopefully he's reading the newspaper, watching TV, and watching this video at the same time, so his ADD doesn't chase him away. Folks, I want to thank you for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, and remember to enjoy all your days, even if the dinosaur comes after you. Bye now.